As night fell over Baghdad on January 16, 1991, a small army of maintainers and pilots gathered around what had been one of America's best-kept secrets. A single combat mission in Panama 2 years prior had introduced the F-117 Nighthawk to the world, but tonight would be a true test of the world's first stealth combat aircraft. Months of reconnaissance had confirmed that Baghdad was among the most heavily defended cities in the world, but their orders were clear. Major Greg Fayest was to lead a group of 10 black jets deep beyond enemy lines to the Iraqi capital. From there, they would drop the first bombs of a new war, demonstrating once and for all the qualities stealth had to offer. Despite the groundbreaking technology employed in the F-117's design, there were no guarantees that it would perform as advertised. Its unique shape required the use of 4 redundant fly-by-wire systems to make the aircraft manageable. Despite stealth's reputation, it truly is about delaying detection rather than circumventing it. People back home may have called the F-117 a stealth fighter, but the aircraft carried no weapons beyond its payload of two 2,000-pound GBU-27 laser-guided bombs, and it wasn't fast enough to outrun inbound missiles like the ultra-fast State Route 71. For Fayest and his fellow pilots, it was entirely possible that they may have been flying into a shooting gallery. They were relying on the F-117's automated mission planning computer to consider radar and surface-to-air weapons systems along their route. In effect, they put the planes on autopilot as each chose its own course through the heavily contested airspace. Most people think the F-117 was invisible to radar, but that's just not true. Lieutenant Colonel Keith "Ghost" Butler, an F-117 pilot who also flew F-16s and the B-2, tells Popular Mechanics, "The Nighthawk was really hard to see, but we weren't invisible. Most people think the F-117 was invisible to radar, but that's just not true. We weren't invisible." Air Force officials had estimated that F-117 combat losses that night would likely reach 5%, with 30 aircraft involved. That meant it was reasonable to expect that at least one of these revolutionary bombers wouldn't make it back.
Roger.
At 2:51 a.m., Major Fayest dropped the first bomb of the war, destroying the city's air defense center. Almost immediately, the dark skies over Baghdad lit up with anti-aircraft fire. The Iraqis were firing above. Despite the streaks of gunfire all around them, that first wave of F-117 made their way home, followed by another wave of 10 more Nighthawks, and then another. When the night was over, 49 radar stations, air defense assets, and communications hubs throughout Baghdad were destroyed, and despite the expectation of losses, each and every F-117 made it back unscathed. The Gulf War had officially begun, as had the era of stealth. 30 years before the F-117's nighttime journey to Baghdad, the U.S. Air Force was at a crossroads. The U-2 and State Route 71, both unarmed reconnaissance aircraft, had befuddled enemies for years with sheer altitude and speed, but as air defenses improved, the advantages began to fade. A new solution was necessary. If the Air Force could no longer simply beat defenses, they had to find a way to evade detection altogether. But this new plane would have to beat more than just radar. Stealth is only achieved through overlapping design elements, technologies, and combat strategy. Detection can come in various forms, and this new stealth aircraft would have to address all of them. Instead of building an aircraft and then incorporating stealth later, Lockheed's Skunk Works started with a stealth design and built an aircraft around it, and their design found help in the most unlikely of places. Soviet researcher Pyotr Ufimtsev published a study analyzing how shape affects radar returns. The Soviets didn't seem to be taking his work to heart, but thousands of miles away, the idea was just what Lockheed needed. Lockheed's engineers then used the most advanced computers available at the time to develop a shape that could limit detection from radar using angled plates, and by 1975, they had the design finished. There was just one problem: it didn't look like anything that would actually fly. Around the office, they took to calling their design the hopeless diamond. Nonetheless, a series of models were built and one was wrapped in metal foil for use in radar testing. Hopeless or not, the model proved their theory. It was almost invisible to radar detection. By 1976, Lockheed started building flyable prototypes. The program, dubbed Blue, used two aircraft, HB-101 and II, these planes looked a lot like the F-117, but were actually much smaller. They were so small, in fact, that Lockheed was able to use components from other fighters to expedite production. The prototypes were called wobbly goblins by those who tested them. The unique shape that evaded radar and dissipated heat also made for an incredible unruly platform. On HB-1001's 36th test flight, an issue with its landing gear forced pilot Ken Dyson to remain airborne until he ran out of fuel and had to eject, relinquishing the prototype to gravity's grip. HB-1002 was finished just a few months later, and it conducted 51 more successful test flights until a hydraulic leak on the 52nd caused an engine fire that forced the pilot to eject from that aircraft. Both prototypes had been destroyed, but they had proven the concept. The decision was made in November 1978 to move forward with a combat aircraft based on the unconventional design. The new F-117 Nighthawk, technically, the F-117A, looked a lot like its predecessors, though the vertical stabilizers were angled outward rather than inward, and its dimensions grew to be more battle-ready. The angular look of the F-117